What's up, guys? How's it going? Welcome to our third episode of our Unity tutorial series. In our last video, we went through how to create a C# script, a very basic one, but a script nonetheless, on how to print to our console. In this next tutorial, we are going to start adding some actual 3D objects to our scene, including our ground plane and we'll see how far we get. We might add a a first-person controller as well, so we can run around our scene. But for now, let's go ahead and create a plane for our game scene. We're going to go ahead and go to Create, and we're going to go to 3D Object, and we're going to choose a plane. And you will see that it creates a white plane. If we click on our camera, it can't currently see it because it's right at the same level as the plane, but if we raise it up just slightly, and move it around, we can see that the plane now shows up. Let's go ahead and move it up a little bit more so we can see the plane on the bottom right hand camera preview. Hold on one second. Excuse me. So now that we have a plane, we can go ahead and add some objects to our scene as well. So let's go ahead and create our basic shapes. We're going to create a sphere, and we'll place it here. We'll create a cube, and we will create, let's see, a capsule or a cylinder. Let's see, what is, no, we don't want a quad. Let's go ahead and put a cylinder in. Why not? Alright. So now we have three objects. We have and we can fly around using WSAD. I'm holding the right mouse button and I'm flying around the scene to look at it. So if you want to do that, you can as well. Our camera still stays in the same spot, so it's still looking at the same area. Now, if we hit play, nothing is going to happen yet because we haven't actually given our actors any components, like whether they're heavy or have mass or anything like that yet. We haven't given them any physics. So we need to do that by clicking on each one individually. So we'll say our sphere, for example, and we can look at the components it already has. It has a transform component, which means we can move it around. Yep, we can do that. We can rotate it, scale it, all that. It has a mesh, which renders it out, and we can definitely see it, so it's there. The mesh renderer, which we can say whether it receives shadows or, things like that. We have a sphere collider, which means that you can actually see it. There's some green lines. That's the sphere collider, saying whether it collided with another object, but it doesn't have any mass. So we're going to go ahead and add a new component. And this is where we added our script last time in our camera, but this time we're going to go to physics, and we're going to choose rigid body. And now that's going to give our first object a little bit of mass. We're not going to really be able to notice it at first because when we hit play, it is going to fall, but it's just going to fall directly to the ground and stop. Now these other ones are going to be a little bit more interesting. Let's go ahead and rotate them a little bit so that we can have an interesting kind of collapse when they actually fall. So we have our move tool, which allows us to move it, which is fine, but we also have a rotate tool. So we have three axes here, and we can rotate it on either axis. So I'm going to move it this way a little bit and this way, so it's more like a diamond. And then this one, I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to rotate it this way so that when they fall, they're going to have to react on each other in some way. Let's go ahead and go back to the move tool so we don't forget. Again, we do have the scale tool if you'd like to use that. I don't really like that, or how that turned out, I should say. I do like the scale tool. I don't like how that turned out. But you can use the scale tool to scale objects as well. I'm going to stay with the move tool, and then we're going to add rigid bodies like we did for the sphere to these other objects as well, and then we'll see how it looks. So we'll go to physics and add a rigid body, and then go to physics and add a rigid body. And now when we hit play, we should see a more dynamic reaction. There we go. So we have a real fun game scene as our objects fall off of the plane. If we hit it again, it should react a little bit differently. Yep, very cool. So now we have objects in our game. We also want to create materials for these objects because these objects look very plain. So what we're going to do is we can click over here in our project, right click, and create. And we're going to create a new material. And we're going to call this material, well, let's make a few different colors. Let's make red, green, and blue. Let's call this one red, matte, or actually matte red, I should say. Okay, and that's just a naming convention so that we can sort them in order. So if I look for materials, all the materials will start with matte, and then the color or type of material it is. So we have all these different maps, and we're going to use the albedo map to change the color. So I'm going to go ahead and make this red and close it. And I'm going to drag this onto our sphere. And we also have some other maps that we can adjust. Let me go ahead and zoom in on this sphere and take a look at it. We have metallic, which will add how metallic the object is. You can see it kind of changing. And we have smoothness, so how smooth and reflective or how matte an object is. So I can make it super metallic and super smooth. I could put this back. I don't want to do that. I do like that. I do like making it a little bit smooth. And then we have normal maps and height maps, which we'll be able to use to make objects seem more realistic, like having a building with brick inlays you can actually see. We also have secondary maps, which we can add on later. But for the most part, this is all we want to do is adjust the albedo, metallic, and smoothness. We're going to go ahead and do the same thing for these two colors. We're going to make a green one and a blue one. So let's go ahead and make two more materials. We'll go to create and go to material. Call this matte blue. And we'll make this one blue. You can see how quick it ends up getting once you learn how to do it. Let's go ahead and make it a real blue. And we're going to drag this here. And I'll make it a little bit metallic and a little bit smooth. And then the final one, we're going to make green. So material and matte green. We'll choose over here and we'll turn the red channel down and the blue channel down. Oops. The blue channel down and make a nice green. And we can adjust this if we want to a little bit. Now let's go ahead and hit play. And now we have some nice 3D objects with colored materials attached that are reflective to the environment. We can see a nice, let me actually move the ball a little bit forward so maybe it'll roll towards us. You can see a nice reflection on the ball itself since we made it very shiny. And of course it didn't. But yeah, I think I'm going to stop the video here because I try and keep them around 10 minutes. But next we'll go ahead and add our player controllers and maybe a more interesting plane with some textures for the ground and such. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. Have a great day. Peace.